Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. Today I've got this Merry Christmas card for you. It's card number 3 in this Kitchen Table Stamper Paper and Ink Card Class series. This is card number 1. This is card number 2, card number 3, and this is card number 4. Paper and Ink Card Class is the third Monday of the month in my Rolling Meadows home studio, and all adult crafters are welcome to join us. If you've got questions about Stampin' Up! Events in the Chicago area, reach out. Email Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. All right, let's take a look at what we're gonna need to make this awesome Merry Christmas card. I've got quite a few stamp sets and dies here, and I chose everything based on making the elements come together easily as possible. Lots of die cuts, super simple stuff like that. So I've got my Merry Moose bundle. This is brand new to the 2019 holiday catalog. If you purchase Merry Moose and the Moose Punch together, you can save 10% on this bundle. Merry Moose is a 17-piece photopolymer stamp set, and this Moose Punch is just the best. Do you see how cute he is? And little, and he punches right out. Oh, love the Merry Moose. I've got the Birch background stamp. Now this is brand new to the annual catalog, and I just love this birch background for fall. I also pulled out my Rooted in Nature stamps and Nature's Roots framelits dies for this card. I've got these little pine trees here in Rooted in Nature, and I just love them. Now there are pine trees in Merry Moose, but there are no dies for the pine trees. And my idea was to kind of layer the trees in the background and give some dimension, and I didn't want to cut them out. So I grabbed my Rooted in Nature. You can absolutely use the Merry Moose trees, but for us, we're going to use the Rooted in Nature stamp set and the Nature's Roots framelits to get that trees in the background. I also chose to do these little pine cones as an embellishment for my card, and those pine cones come from Winter Woods, and they also have a die in the Woods framelit. So there are 2 little pine cone dies in there, so it makes this super speedy. There's a pine cone in Perfectly Plaid stamp set, the brand new one from the holiday catalog too. I did a little die cutting ahead of time for this kit. We've got a stitched shapes circle cut from Whisper White here in the kit, and this is the second largest. And then I cut its coordinating scallop from the Layering Circles framelits, and this is Merry Merlot cardstock. My little label for the sentiment is from the brand new Ornate frames, and I cut that from Whisper White. Since I have the In the Woods framelits dies out for the pine cones, we cut this fun leaf embellishment from the In the Woods framelits, and then this is also got this really cool little embossed line down the center, so it just gives it some texture, little something different from the pine in the background. Still very woodsy. Of course, you could substitute that out for any greenery that you might have a die for. All right, pieces. I've got a Early Espresso card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I've got a scrap of Merry Merlot for her little hat and scarf. Got a scrap of soft suede for the pine cones. Got a piece of Early Espresso for my mousse. This is about 2.5 by 3 3/4. Scrap of white. The Whisper White is for our pine trees, and this one's about 4 3/4 by 2.5, just enough to do those little arrangement of pine cones. My Come Together Designer Series paper is 3 by 4 inches, and I've got about 8 inches of linen thread here. Let's grab the Stampin' pads. I'll show you what colors we're going to use for this project. We've got Early Espresso, Pretty Peacock, and Merry Merlot. I've also got the brand new Snowfall Accents Puff Paint and a heat tool. All right, let's get started here. I've got our birch background stamp here and Early Espresso ink. I'm going to bring the ink pad to the stamp and just tap to coat, making sure I get all of those awesome birch details. Now we'll bring the card base to this stamp and just lay the card base over top of the rubber stamp. Cover with some scratch paper and then lightly burnish to make your impression. There's our birch background. Isn't that just cool? I love that texture. All right, let's set that for a second to dry. And while we're stamping, let's do our mousse. We're gonna stamp the mousse in early espresso on early espresso. Set that aside to punch. Oh, he's so cute. And then let's do some pine cones. Early espresso on soft suede. So pretty. Got a scrap of Mary Merlot here, and the scrap of Mary Merlot is for our mousse's scarf and hat. So I've got Mary Merlot ink. We're gonna stamp our little hat and scarf. Got the pretty peacock ink. Let's do our Merry Christmas sentiment. It's gonna go just right of center a little bit. Leave some room for those pine cones to embellish. And the trees. And the nice part about this is there's a double dry and a single die, and we can, with the Nature's Roots dies, we can cut them out all in one pass. All right, I'm gonna do a little die cutting here. Let's get the big shot. Okay, all of our die cutting can be done in one pass. Okay, there's our pine cones and our trees. Got my mousse punch. Let's go ahead and punch this guy out. Love that punch. All right, next up, we've got to cut our little scarf and hat. No dies for that, but we've managed to avoid a lot of fussy cutting, haven't we? So I'm just gonna go ahead and trim out these two little pieces with my scissors, and I'm gonna cut right on the line. It's Mary Merlot on Mary Merlot, and you want to turn the piece into the scissors as you cut it out. That'll make your fussy cutting nice and neat. And don't forget to support your scissors with your index finger or your index and middle finger. Okay, we've got our little bits cut out. Aren't they cute? Now, so that I don't lose them, because I will lose them in the shuffle, I'm going to go ahead and use a little multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm gonna glue the scarf onto the mousse's neck and the hat right onto the moose's head. So I got a little multi-purpose liquid glue on the back of my scarf. I'm gonna share with the back of the hat. A little bit goes a very long way here. And there's my mousse, all dressed for the weather. All right, got a clothespin, and we're going to go ahead and plug in our heat tool. We're gonna do this Snowfall Accents Puff Paint. All right, so when you use this Snowfall Accents Puff Paint, you want to really shake it well, and a little bit goes a very long way. We're going to add just a little dab at the bottom of Moose's hat. Now you don't want to go too thick, because then it won't dry all the way through when you heat set it, and it'll flatten out. So we're gonna just kind of less is more. Add the accents to the hat, put the mousse in the clothespin. That'll keep our fingers safe. And we're gonna heat that paint and watch it puff up. Now when using the puff paint, you want to heat thoroughly, but you don't want to burn it. You notice that I heated from the front and from the back. That'll help to dry it all the way through without giving it that toasted marshmallow look. All right, let's get this card put together now. I've got my dry adhesive here, and we're gonna add our designer series paper to the card front. It's off center. It's off center right to left. It's off center top to bottom. It's a little bit high of center and a little bit right, quite a bit right of center. Then we can adhere our stitched circle to our scalloped circle. And that can go on the card. Next, we've got the 2 pine trees. You could stamp these from the Mary Moose set directly onto your circle. It would have a little bit less of the dimension where it pops off the edge of the circle, but you could absolutely do that. And then we're going to take our greeting, we're going to position that and glue it on flat. Next, I got my little moose, and I'm going to grab my mini dimensionals again, Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to use the edges of this because I want to pop him up. So I'm going to cut narrow little strips along the edges for behind his antlers and legs. Don't put any behind his rearmost leg. I've got my Stampin' Dimensionals and they're all sticky. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is position my tree. And I want my tree in between the 2 in the backgrounds, and I want it kind of standing on the Merry Christmas greeting. Then we're gonna add our little moose, and his back leg is gonna go over the tree, even the rump a little bit. So you wanna, no dimensional adhesive there. The tree will support it. Make sure he's level, walking on level ground. Now our leaves. What we're gonna do here for these little leaves, I'm gonna cut them up and rearrange them just a bit. I'm gonna take this bottom leaf off. And I'm gonna cut down this stem real short. And I'm gonna add the leaves with a little multi-purpose liquid glue. And this little leaf that we cut off the end, add a little multi-purpose liquid glue. We're gonna reattach that one, kind of going up the other direction. I'm gonna put one of the pine cones, and it's gonna cover where we did a little leaf surgery. Do that one with multi-purpose liquid glue. The other little pine cone dude is gonna go on with half of a mini dimensional. A little cluster. Last little touch is our linen thread. I'm gonna tie the bittiest little bow, seriously as tiny as you can get it. If you have to start out big, no big deal. You can hold the center of the knot and then just pull the loops until you get as bitty as you can. And then we're gonna add that bow with a little dab of multi-purpose liquid glue right onto the pine cones. I got a little tip for you. If you find that your Snowfall Accents has seemed to take up a little bit of the red pigments, it looks a little pink to you, I've found that I can go ahead and add a second coat. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna take the Snowfall Accents, and I'm not even squeezing the bottle, I'm just rubbing the nozzle onto the little puff paint and giving it a very light second coat of paint. Then we'll heat that up again, and it'll cover up where those red pigments have bled out of the Mary Merlot cardstock. There it is. It kind of puffs up a second time and covers up that leaching. It's very normal for red pigments to leach, and so just a second little touch with the puff paint really helps whiten up that trim on the moose's hat. All right, if you got any questions about the products, especially the Snowfall Puff Paint or the Mary Moose bundle, if there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. Thanks for watching.